I decided to be an archivist as a career change, actually. I graduated with a PhD in Spanish literature, actually, in 2020. And everyone knows what happened in 2020. The world shut down, and people with PhDs like me were going, what could I do that would be, hireable and pivot? So I spent a year really looking around and thinking about what I could do, and I really drew from what I had really liked from academia and graduate school, which was teaching and researching and finding information and helping people connect with it. And the archives classes to me were the most interesting because it was old documents that can really tell us a lot about how people have lived and also help us remember that what we do every day is going to someday be looked back upon, and we'll be thinking about the decisions people made and how they made them by looking at these documents. I'm Lisa Carney. I'm the archivist for the Kensington Town Archives, and I've been in this line of work for about a year. When I took this position, I was told, you really get to be the founding archivist here, and that was really exciting to me. I had not thought about how that was also going to include, picking flooring, picking shelving, ordering boxes, and that was really a pleasant surprise in some ways because it really helped me think about what an archives is. It's a space, it's a place people come to, and it's also a job where we are trying to make sure things can be preserved for a really long time, but I don't want this to be a place that's closed off. So early on, I really tried to balance getting things in order, getting the room organized and set up, getting boxes that would be acid-free so they don't cause harm to the materials, but also thinking about what materials are already here that people want to get access to so I can really prioritize keeping that available for people. This archive started as a project of the community. The materials started being collected in 1976, 1977, which coincided with a few things. A woman named Mary Hall, who was trained as a librarian, actually was named the town archivist or town historian, and she just started collecting materials. Then she organized a meeting that became the Kensington Historical Society. And so the Kensington Historical Society then started gathering materials. So in that way, today, the Kensington Historical Society is sort of one major branch of the community that has contributed and helped out. And as I see it, the townspeople and the community, not just in KHS, continue to be participants in the archives by coming here and using the materials, but also by thinking about what they have at home that they can collect and bring in. I really enjoy finding notes from one of the women who was really responsible for collecting a lot of the materials. This woman, Edith Saul, was also trained as a librarian. She lived in a house here in town most of her life, and she really was responsible for organizing a lot of things. And she was involved in all sorts of things in the community. The Women's Club, Kensington Historical Society, historic preservation. And so I find her handwriting and her notes in little spots, and she just was a character, I can tell. She had an opinion about a lot of things, she had a lot of ideas. She really wanted to make this community great. And so it's always fun to see her handwriting on something and think about, what that means about her. It's also fun to look at some of the early town documents that are things that people would have received in the mail for the most part, because most of the town records go to the state archives because they're municipal records. But we have things like this notice on taxpayers, and I have a whole stack of them, and it's from March 15th, 1900, and it says that if people don't pay their tax bill, their names will be published in the delinquent tax list in the Montgomery Press. So I think the tax bill for the town was like $1 or $3. It was very, seemingly small today, but it's a funny little tidbit of town history. It was, probably a small group of families who knew each other to get a mailing like that. The mission of the archives is to make the history of Kensington and the surrounding areas accessible to people, easy to access, and that requires preserving, collecting materials from organizations and people who live here. And it's also about providing support for people who are conducting research on topics in the area. This archives is not just the historic houses of Kensington, it's not just the tax district of Kensington. We have documents from a historically Black community of Kengar nearby. We want to capture a range of experiences and viewpoints and lives, and so I don't want anyone to think this is a very stuffy place where it's government documents. It's really a community center where we're trying to gather, information about what life is like. Not just businesses, but people, and not just people that are, famous or wealthy, but people of all walks of life. The best thing a person can do to get into the archives is to send me an email. So that's archives@tok.md.gov. I'll be able to take people in for appointments really at any time. And when they come in, they will be able to sit at a table. We get out a box for them. We go through what the materials are and help them research. If there are things that I don't have, I then can also refer them to other places in the area. And that's a big part of my job too, is just knowing where people need to go to find other information.